Welcome to Channel 44. It's a beautiful morning. I'm Mercy Gashegu Sembatia to bring you this morning's news update. I will be joined by Livingstone Kawesi for sign language interpretation and translation. We'll start with what's happening around us in the papers today. Spouses' rights on matrimonial property revised. It's in today's New Vision. Court gives woman 20% in landmark verdict. Get yourself a copy of the New Vision today and see what it's all about. And also, Ebola contacts barred from leaving the country. That's as per the presidential address that happened last night. And then also, FIFA wants ceasefire for Ukraine to watch World Cup. It's in today's New Vision. The New Vision also brings you past O-levels. They bring you Senior 1 Physics, S2 Kiswahili and Biology in today's New Vision. And in the Daily Monitor today, court sets new rules for marital property in a ruling, in a unanimous judgment yesterday. A panel of 3 Court of Appeal justices ruled that in case of divorce, the spouses share in the matrimonial property and should be based on their individual contribution. They bring you 50%. The Daily Monitor reports that marriage does not give a spouse an automatic half share in the matrimonial property. A spouse's share in the matrimonial property is dependent on their contribution. And then also they bring you the forms of contribution. This can be either monetary or in kind or both. They also bring you that contribution by a spouse, for example, paying of tuition for others should be deducted when computing benefits. And also the Daily Monitor brings you a story. 236 million shillings spent on accident victims daily. It's in today's Daily Monitor. And also 400 newborns die in Uganda weekly, and schools warned over curriculum. It's in today's Daily Monitor. The Daily Monitor brings you what transpired in the presidential address last night. President Museveni restricts movement of trucks carrying logs, among others. There are job opportunities and tenders in today's Daily Monitor. Get yourself a copy and you will see if you can get yourself a job opportunity. Allow me to take you straight into today's international news update. We'll start with what's happening in the region. There has been heavy fighting between the army of the Democratic Republic of Congo and M23 rebels, some 20 kilometers from the eastern city of Goma. The press says M23 wants to seize the regional capital to force the government to make concessions. The rebels already hold a substantial swath of territory bordering Uganda and Rwanda. Kenya's former President Uhuru Kenyatta has been in Goma to assess the security situation. Earlier, he held talks with DRC's President Felix Tshisekedi in a bid to end the conflict and resolve tensions with Rwanda, which is accused of supporting the rebels. It denies the allegations. In Ethiopia, the Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed has told the country's parliament that he intends to implement honestly the ceasefire agreement signed between the federal government and Tigrayan leaders. Mr. Abiy added that now was not the time to address the issue of Western Tigray, which was occupied by forces from neighboring Amhara region at the beginning of the war in 2020. The truce was signed on 2nd November following talks brokered by the African Union. Despite the agreement, humanitarian supplies had not reached Tigray until today, leading to the World Health Organization's chief Tedros Adhanom calling for aid to be promptly delivered. Mr. Ghebreyesus added that many people had been dying from treatable diseases and starvation. A leading aid agency, the International Committee of the Red Cross, today tweeted that their first convoy had reached Tigray's capital Mekelle with urgent medical supplies. And in Egypt, as the nation of Egypt hosts world leaders to discuss actions over climate change, the oil terminal is dumping toxic wastewater on the country's Red Sea coast. A rare form of coral that offers hope for preserving ocean life as the plant worms could be casualties. The barely treated wastewater, which is brought to the surface during oil and gas drilling, contains high levels of toxins, oil and grease. The documents, which were issued by the Gulf of Suez Petroleum Company, GUPCO, in 2019 to try to hire a company to treat the water, say the pollution levels do not comply with Egyptian environmental laws and regulations. In the United States, Donald Trump has announced his third presidential bid, and the announcement comes on the heels of the midterm elections, which did not produce a red wave for Republicans in Congress, as was anticipated. Former Trump voters said the Republican candidates are in the mix, and it seems Donald Trump will have some competition to get through the primaries and on to the general elections. And in Russia, it has launched one of its biggest barrages of missiles yet against Ukraine, days after its troops were forced to withdraw from Kherson. The capital, Kyiv, was among the cities hit, with the official saying at least one person was found dead. There were strikes across the country from Lviv in the west to Chernihiv in the north. As well as following Russia's setback in Kherson, the attack comes as world leaders meet at the G20 in Bali. There, Moscow faced fierce condemnation for the war in Ukraine. Right now, it has hit Poland with ballistic missiles. Still about Russia, Russia has angrily rejected international calls for it to pay for war damage it has inflicted in Ukraine. It comes after the UN General Assembly passed a resolution saying Russia should face the consequences of its action, including paying reparations. General Assembly resolutions carry symbolic weight but do not have the power to enforce compliance. The Kremlin said it would work to stop the West seizing its international reserves to pay for reparations. Spokesperson Dmitry Peskov accused the West of attempting to formalize robbery and violate the rules of private property and international law. And in Asia, crowds of residents in southern China's industrial metropolis Guangzhou have escaped a compulsory lockdown and clashed with police as anger at strict coronavirus curbs boiled over. Dramatic footage shows some overturning a police vehicle and tearing down COVID control barriers. Riot teams have now been deployed in the area. It follows Guangzhou's worst COVID outbreak since the pandemic began. Amid bad economic figures, China's zero COVID policy is under enormous strain. Tensions had been building in the city's Haizu district, which is under stay-at-home orders. In the Middle East, 3 Israelis have been killed by a Palestinian in a knife and car ramming attack near a Jewish settlement in the occupied West Bank, according to the military. The attacker stabbed civilians by an industrial zone and petrol station before hitting others with a car, military and media reports have revealed. The 18-year-old assailant was then shot dead after trying to flee on foot. And finally, in the world of technology, Google will pay $391.5 million to settle allegations about how it collects data from users. The technology giant tracked the location of users who opted out of location services on their devices. Google has not been told to be transparent. Google has been told to be transparent about location tracking in the future and develop a web page telling people about the data it collects. It is the largest privacy-related multi-state settlement in U.S. history. A Google official said, consistent with improvement they've made in the recent years, they have settled the investigation, which was based on outdated product policies that they changed years ago. Well, that brings us to the end of this morning's news update. Thank you for watching Channel 44. I remind you of the Karamoja Christmas Karamoja. We are taking Christmas to the people of Karamoja, especially the children, that they will have a Christmas of their lifetime. Join us by sending your seed to the numbers that will be available during the services, or you can bring your CD at the Miracle Center Cathedral reception. You'll be given a receipt, or you can bring your CD in the services, hand it over to Pastor Robert Kayanja. You will be tremendously blessed. The Pastors Now program is up next. Stay tuned to Channel 44. Have a beautiful morning.